Today, we're diving into a comparison for you, focused on the Indian market. Two Motorola phones, the Edge 60 Stylus versus the Edge 50 Fusion.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot, isn't it? We've got the specs, the pricing info, expert takes.
Right, the whole picture. The mission is to figure out which one really gives you the best bang for your buck, considering features and, well, the overall experience.
Let's do it. Where should we start? The stylus.
Yeah, let's kick off with the Edge 60 Stylus. So performance-wise, it's running a Qualcomm chip, the Snapdragon 7's Gen 2.
4 nanometer. Generally pretty efficient.
Comes with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, LPDDR4X and UFS 2.2, standard stuff there.
But the storage thing, it has a card slot, right?
It does, and it's quite key. Micro SD, up to a whole terabyte extra. That's a big plus if you hoard files.
Definitely. A real boon for, video shooters or music collectors.
Okay, screen time. It's a 6.67-inch POLED. Pretty sharp, 1.5K resolution. And smooth, too, 120 Hz refresh rate.
And brightness. I heard it gets really bright.
Insanely bright. 3,000 nits peak, good colors, 10-bit. It even has that wet touch support.
Okay, but downsides on the display.
Well, yeah. No HDR support, which is a bit of a miss for streaming fans. And the protection is Gorilla Glass 3.
Gorilla Glass 3. It's okay, but, not the newest. Might scratch easier than some others. The lack of HDR is definitely noticeable if you watch a lot of Netflix or Prime Video.
Moving to cameras. Dual setup on the back. Main one is 50 megapixels, using that Sony TIA 700C sensor.
Oh yeah, that's a capable sensor. Usually gets good results. And it has OIS.
It does, yeah. Optical image stabilization. Helps keep things steady. Then there's a 13 megapixel ultra-wide that doubles for macro shots.
Useful combo. And the front.
32 megapixels up front. Both front and back can shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second.
Decent video capabilities then. What about the battery?
Standard 5,000 milliamp battery, but it charges fast, 68 watts wired.
Nice. And wireless.
Yep, gets 15-watt wireless charging too, which is a nice convenience to have.
That's a definite plus over many in this price range. The flexibility is great.
And of course, the headline feature, the stylus. It's built right in.
Yes, the namesake. Great for notes, sketching, that sort of thing. Sets it apart.
It's also pretty tough. IP68 water and dust resistance and MIL STD 810H rated.
So it can take a bit of a beating. Good to know.
Plus, stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos and, crucially for some, a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Wow, they kept the jack. Audiophiles rejoice.
It ships with Android 15 out of the box, promising 2 major OS updates. Price-wise, around $22,999, maybe less with bank offers.
Okay, solid package, especially with the stylus and that headphone jack.
Right, let's switch over to the Motorola Edge 50 Fusion. This one uses a MediaTek Dimensity 7400 chip, tailored for India, also 4 nanometer.
Some benchmarks suggest that MediaTek might even have a slight edge in CPU performance, potentially.
Interesting. It comes in more flavors, too. RAM options up to 12 GB, storage up to 512 GB.
Gives you more choice depending on your budget and needs. But what about expandable storage here?
That's where it gets a bit murky. Some reports say yes, some say no on the micro SD slot. It's uncertain. You'd really need to check the specific model you're buying.
That ambiguity is a bit frustrating. Definitely something to verify if you need that extra space.
The display on the Fusion is slightly bigger, 6.7 inches. Also POLED. Full HD plus resolution, though, not 1.5K.
But the refresh rate can go higher, right? 144 hertz.
Yeah, 144 hertz or 120 hertz. Still super smooth. Peak brightness is lower at 1600 nits.
But it has HDR.
Exactly, HDR10 plus support. So better for watching HDR movies and shows. And the screen protection is newer Gorilla Glass 5 or maybe even 7i.
Okay, so a trade-off there. Slightly lower res or peak brightness, but you gain HDR and better glass. That HDR could be the clincher for media lovers.
Cameras look familiar on paper. 50MP main, same Sony TIA 700C with OIS.
Good, consistent there.
And a 13MP ultra-wide.
Autofocus on the ultra-wide. That's actually useful for macro. Sharper close-ups. Nice touch.
Front camera is 32MP again. Also does 4K video. Battery is 5,000 milliamp, maybe slightly bigger, depending on the region, with that same 68W wired charging.
But no wireless charging on the Fusion, correct?
Correct. And no wireless here. That's one feature you lose compared to the stylus.
It's a clear difference. You gain HDR, lose wireless charging.
Durability is strong again. IP68, even IP69 in some specs, plus the MIL STD rating. Stereo speakers with Atmos, NFC included.
NFC is handy for payments.
It launches with Android 14, but Motorola is promising 3 major OS updates for this one.
See, that's significant. One more update than the stylus? Better long-term software support.
But it ditches the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Ouch. Another trade-off. And that uncertain micro SD situation again.
Price starts lower, though, around $19,499 for the base 8GB 128GB model.
So more affordable entry point, better software longevity, better screen tech in some ways. But you lose the stylus, the headphone jack, wireless charging, and maybe expandable storage.
Okay, let's try and boil this down. The Edge 60 stylus. You get the stylus, obviously, plus wireless charging, the headphone jack, and you know you can expand the storage. Downside: older screen protection, no HDR.
Right. Then the Edge 50 Fusion, potentially slightly faster chip, better screen with HDR and tougher glass, more OS updates promised, and a lower starting price.
But no stylus, no wireless charging, no headphone jack, and that question mark over the microSD card.
Exactly. It really highlights how different feature sets cater to, well, completely different user priorities.
Absolutely. So for you listening, it really comes down to what you value most. Is that built-in stylus a game changer for how you'd use your phone day to day?
Yes, the Edge 60 stylus is kind of the obvious pick there.
But if you prioritize, say, watching loads of HDR content, want the phone to feel new for longer with those extra updates, and you don't need a stylus or wired audio.
And the Edge 50 Fusion looks very appealing, especially the cheaper models. It might be the smarter financial choice, too, depending on the configuration.
So here's something to mull over. Don't just look at the spec sheet for today. Think about how these unique features, the stylus on one hand, the extra year of software support on the other, might actually fit into your life over the next 2, maybe 3 years. Which long-term advantage holds more genuine personal value for you?
Yeah, which feature becomes indispensable versus just nice